I have seen a snake out there, 6, 7, 8 feet long.
This time on Unexplained Mysteries, Destination Earth. The sightings at a vital Russian military base.
It is a place where UFOs are sighted very frequently and where similar phenomena occur.
Such as evidence of strange, three-toed creatures. An unknown object crashes on a remote Russian hill.
The sphere was red. It was flying straight, then sharply fell down.
A huge explosion in Siberia. The government says it was a meteor. Scientists believe it was something else.
It is possible that this could be a ship from another planet.
There was mutation. All objects in the epicenter were exposed to a small dose of X-ray radiation.
The bizarre lights that hovered above Montreal, seen by hundreds of eyewitnesses.
I saw this thing.
It was not looking like an object at all.
Stunned. There's no other word. I was stunned.
Hundreds of UFOs seen by thousands of people in Mexico City.
17 people on the ground recorded it on home video. That's never happened before in the history of ufology.
Encounters in space reported by astronauts and cosmonauts.
Someone or something of extraterrestrial origin has visited Earth.
Rare videotape of unusual cluster UFOs.
There are clusters of what looks like clouds of smaller objects.
The alleged alien encounter with not just one eyewitness, but 62.
It's just that the face is the eyes. They looked horrible. They want people to know that we're actually making harm on this world.
And we'll sum up all the facts for you with our exclusive UnEx report. Here on Unexplained Mysteries, Destination Earth. Experts believe UFOs have been visiting Earth for centuries. Reports indicate a higher number of apparent encounters near U.S. military bases. Servicemen in England have also described numerous flying objects. And now, there are accounts of sightings in Russia.
It is a place where UFOs are sighted very frequently and where similar phenomena occur.
Vladivostok is the home of Russia's nuclear fleet. Ufologists believe someone, or something, may be monitoring nuclear weapons at military installations from the sky.
This is a panoramic view of Vladivostok, of the Pit Golden Horn. In broad daylight, people suddenly saw a bright flash up in the sky, and this glowing sphere rose up. One passerby had a camera and shot this object.
Stranger still is this photo of what seems to be a footprint with 3 toes.
The traces left by these unusual beings are found at the sites of well-guarded military units. This is where radioactive waste from Russia is kept.
Near the neighboring town of Delnogorsk, an object crashed on a hill known as Height 611.
The sphere was red. It was flying straight, then sharply fell down.
I saw a fiery balloon fly from this side and fall there on this knoll.
After that, a fire started. It burned for 1 hour.
Something was burning. This could have been a meteorite, but meteorites do not cause fires. When I climbed up to this place, the snow was deep. There I saw a place which left a great impression on me. There was no snow, it just evaporated. I saw the remains of a burnt stump of a tree and the remains of metallic spheres.
He obtained shards of strange burned metal from the crash site. Russia's most sophisticated labs analyzed the samples.
Whatever remained at the site itself had such unusual properties. The mesh itself had something very strange, very unusual. Tiny filaments. And inside those filaments, quartz filaments, what they could be used for remains an enigma.
Russia's top scientists continue to study the pieces of metal.
Their Academy of Sciences has had an ongoing public study of UFOs.
UFO study is accepted in Russia, unlike the U.S.
Here the people say, you can't study UFOs, there's nothing to study, there's no physical evidence. Well, that's baloney, and the Russians are proving that. Their Academy of Sciences, the most respected scientific organization in that nation, has been studying it for decades. They do what scientists are supposed to do. They take samples, they conduct experiments, they dig in the soil, they check for radiation, and they've come up with some fairly amazing results.
And some believe the results could change the way we look at science and our place in the universe.
It could very well be physical evidence of an extraterrestrial origin. There were strange alloys in there that couldn't be readily identified, rare earth metals in combinations that have never been seen of a natural origin.
Here we can see the results of the spectrometer test, but most importantly, it contains the element promethium. The element promethium is artificial. It cannot be found on the Earth.
The Russian scientists ran tests to see if the crash site had any lingering effect on human subjects.
For the group that went to the top of height 611, the number of red blood cells, the differential blood count, was altered, and the amount of elements in the blood rose. I can't tell what it means. I believe that either alien machinery or a spaceship flew to the Earth or crashed. I think that otherwise it can't be explained.
While some American scientists turn a deaf ear to UFO research, Russians are making progress.
I'm glad that somebody actually went to that height 611 and brought out the information, because the heights we could reach with that information are still unknown to us.
In a region called Tunguska, deep in Siberia, a huge object crashed in 1908. The force of the blast was 2,000 times the power of the atomic bomb that devastated Hiroshima.
Tunguska affects the whole world and all of mankind. I base my opinion on facts obtained from work on the Tunguska problems.
When the Shoemaker-Levy comet slammed into Jupiter, it left a giant crater. But at Tunguska, this object left only scorched earth.
I am a staunch supporter of the comet hypothesis, and I think that there is no serious proof to refute it.
Kolesnikov studied the effects of the explosion.
It is possible that all objects in the epicenter were exposed to a small dose of X-ray radiation.
X-ray radiation is a result of an atomic explosion. Some experts feel that the Tunguska blast was caused by a UFO that was nuclear-powered. This is exclusive footage from the only American television crew to travel to the isolated region and film at the blast site.
This rock was placed here by one of the early Tunguska expeditions in 1928.
Voronov has collected testimony of those who saw what could have been an alien craft slamming into the ground.
One eyewitness told me he was riding a stallion when he heard what sounded like cannon shots. When he looked up, he saw a body glowing like the sun. It began declining toward the horizon for maybe 15-20 seconds. There were many small explosions on the object. It ended with one heavy explosion. The force of the explosion was so strong it knocked both the man and the horse to the ground.
A spiritual leader, or shaman, also witnessed the explosion. He saw an object fly out of the center of the blast, throwing off sparks. It flew away over his head. Was it some sort of escape craft that survived the crash?
In the beginning, we found small fragments buried deep in the earth, but there was nothing on the surface, no fragments at all. All trees collapsed, and over many years, everything went underground.
Chemists analyzed the fragments and found they were covered with a silicone compound, the same substance used in heat shields on our own spacecraft.
It is possible that this could be a ship from another planet, an intergalactic ship which was riveted with silicone, and that we found its thick-walled casing, used to protect the craft from the high temperatures of the stars.
The most intriguing discovery was found deep inside a fragment.
I took pincers and extracted this object. Here it is. It was surrounded by crystallite, transparent and non-transparent particles.
When Lavbin analyzed the piece of metal, he determined it did not match any natural metal found on Earth. Experts feel this proves their theory that an extraterrestrial spacecraft crashed in Tunguska.
Can we hope to obtain a definitive explanation of Tunguska using normal scientific principles? I am doubtful that it can be explained without unconventional methods.
Coming up on Unexplained Mysteries, eyewitnesses in Montreal see strange lights in the sky.
So I stepped outside, I looked at the lights, and I was kind of scared because I didn't know what it was.
Hundreds record strange craft above Mexico City.
We started to see phenomena in the heavens that were inexplicable.
I noticed that there were strange things. We saw lights, very rare lights.
And thousands observe a wave of sightings during a celestial event.
A dish-shaped craft appears over the city, hovers for over 30 minutes.
On a routine space mission, a Russian cosmonaut gets an unexpected escort.
It followed us during half of our orbit. We photographed it, and our photos showed it to be 23 to 28 meters away.
And Challenger astronaut Story Musgrave sees a similar object.
It is rubbery and it follows you for a rather long period of time.
Witnesses on opposite sides of the globe claim to see a rare UFO called a pearl necklace.
The original object was actually composed of a cluster of smaller objects.
And what really happened to 62 school children in Africa.
They experienced very powerful encounters with these beings.
I've never seen such a person like that before.
And we'll give you the ultimate resolution to all your questions with the UnEx report. Stay tuned to Unexplained Mysteries. Unexplained Mysteries, Destination Earth. Montreal, Canada.
I saw this this thing.
It was not looking like an object at all.
Stunned. There's no other word. I was stunned.
It was more like a kind of pencil of light. It was a greenish color, but looking very odd.
One of the biggest mass sightings in history. The St. Bonaventure Hotel. Guests in the rooftop pool claimed they saw a craft.
So I stepped outside, I looked at the lights, and I was kind of scared because I didn't know what it was. So I went back in. I said, somebody pinch me, because I don't believe what I see.
Witnesses state the UFO floated behind a curtain of fog for 3 hours.
My first reaction while driving was, well, it's probably some kind of a promotional stunt for the Olympic Stadium, you know, probably a game or something.
I saw about, I would say, 6, 7, 8 spots within the shape of an egg.
I could even hear the sound that thing was making. It was a very definite purring sound, you know, some kind of a...
Every corners that I went, I had that thing over my head.
I was puzzled, basically, as to, you know, what is this thing? But never did I think that I was seeing a UFO of some sort, you know, or that this thing would be coming from God knows where.
Hundreds of calls were made to the press, the local newspaper. A reporter was sent to the St. Bonaventure.
I believe that I have seen lights or glimmers, but I cannot say at all what it is.
Some people thought that spotlights from a construction site were creating a reflection in the night sky.
After those lights were shut down, the phenomenon, the lights remained in the sky, so it was not a reflection of some sort.
Constable Morin contacted the airport and the military to find out if they could see the object on radar.
Well, in my experience, I did see a fair bit of everything, but I never encountered anything similar to that. It did not disappear quickly, it faded away type of thing.
The next day, La Presse printed Beliveau's piece and a photo of the sighting. When Gannett asked the police for more information, they ignored him.
One of the things that's important about this sighting is the number of highly credible eyewitnesses that later drew pictures of what they saw. They all pretty much saw the same thing. Well, why is that significant? Because it says it is not hallucination.
Haynes and Gannett examined the negative of the photo and were shocked.
We are talking here about an object. It was not a light reflection, let's say from a man-made lights on the ground.
A military base nearby had a massive power failure that night.
The base experienced a 12,000 volt lead failure for a period of time. I find that very interesting.
Computer analysis determined the object was 6,000 feet wide. That information was sent to 50 organizations. The number of responses? 0.
That's significant. That a large object could hover over downtown Montreal, a major metropolitan area of North America, and be seen by so many people, pictures drawn of it, photographs taken of it, and no official response. That, to me, is fascinating.
It was something quite extraordinary. They had the feeling that it was not from here, that it was different.
Based on my experience as a police officer, I really can't say what the origin of these lights was.
But those who saw it were strongly affected.
I'll remember it for the rest of my life, that's for sure. But since I made a lot of interviews, everybody's asking me questions and recognizing me in the street. It changed my life in that kind of way.
I know that I've seen something. I mean, there was an object up there. It corresponds to the descriptions that were taken from the other people on site, and I'll never forget it.
Later on Unexplained Mysteries, an unprecedented number of UFOs in Mexico City caught on tape.
17 people on the ground recorded it on home video. And that's never happened before in the history of ufology.
Scientists are stunned by what they see.
We started to see phenomena in the heavens that were inexplicable.
Lights that could not be categorized as a star or categorized as an airplane.
A Russian cosmonaut encounters what may be an alien spacecraft.
It followed us during half of our orbit. Some places had projections like small wings.
A space shuttle veteran also sees something out there.
On 2 of my missions, I have seen a snake out there, 6, 7, 8 feet long.
The spectacular sighting in South Korea and in Mexico, known as the Pearl Necklace.
Right now, each ball seems to be about 100 feet in diameter and 10,000 feet in the air, moving at 700, 800, 900 miles an hour.
School children in Africa claim to experience a life-changing encounter.
It was silver, and the ring around it was red. They had eyes like that, and they were kind of just like looking at us.
And the full-on summation of all the details in the UnEx report. It's here on Unexplained Mysteries. Unexplained Mysteries, Destination Earth. Mexico City, the scene of so many sightings. Schools now offered classes to study UFOs.
There are also some diamond-shaped forms, red in color, that are suspended over the mountain. Then they disappear.
We went to my sister-in-law's home. All of a sudden, I thought I was looking at a cloud, and I saw a yellow light. It got closer to us.
El Grupo Sol, a university with a respected computer department, analyzed tapes of the UFOs.
I didn't buy into the phenomena. I thought that many of the videos were falsifications.
But when Quezada and his staff studied the tapes, they determined the objects were not normal aircraft, and the tapes were authentic.
At that point, we weren't as skeptical. We said, let's take advantage of what we know and let's try to look for the truth on our own. And then, university backed us up.
Students were eager to enroll in the UFO class.
In reality, there's a lot of photographic material and video material that really makes you think that there is something out there.
I decided to do field research with a group of students and professors, and we started to see phenomena in the heavens that were inexplicable.
I noticed that there were strange things. We saw lights, very rare lights, and lights that could not be categorized as a star or categorized as an airplane.
The staff and students of El Grupo Sol hoped to find proof of the existence of alien craft.
It would be of great interest to me to be able to have in my hand the most advanced technology, the most advanced resources, to be able to have the most information.
If it is the case that they really exist, we should be able to establish contact with them. The good thing would be that this would have a positive effect for mankind.
Scientists forecasted a solar eclipse for Mexico City. Thousands of people recorded it on video, but they shot something else they didn't expect.
Exactly at the time of the full solar eclipse, a dish-shaped craft appears over the city, hovers for over 30 minutes. 17 people on the ground recorded it on home video. And that's never happened before in the history of ufology.
3,000 years ago, the Mayan calendar predicted the day of the solar eclipse. It also foretold the dawn of a new age of enlightenment on that day, called the prophecy of the sixth sun.
The legend of the sixth sun, the new sun, signified by the great eclipse that just occurred, speaks of an opening of knowledge. The sixth sun indicates precisely the moment of its arrival.
Were the UFOs somehow related to the Mayan prophecy? So far, 110 tapes containing strange flying craft have been authenticated.
It may sound difficult to believe in a city with almost 20 million people that practically every afternoon you can see a UFO.
Jaime Musan, one of the most highly regarded journalists on Mexican TV, used to doubt reports of UFOs. Until now.
During the last year, thousands, and I would say hundreds of thousands of people have witnessed UFOs. What I feel is important as an investigative reporter is the fact that the evidence presented was never questioned. The credibility of the witnesses was attacked, the proof that they presented.
Despite the thousands of sightings of what many believe to be extraterrestrial spacecraft, there wasn't mass panic.
The people have definitely not gotten nervous or afraid with the appearance of the UFOs. The people actually like the idea and feel that their appearances can bring some benefit to the Earth.
One of the most compelling photographs was brought forward by a police chief. He had a suspected drug smuggling plane under surveillance and shot photos as evidence. But he got more than he expected.
We called the photographer back in and I asked him to enlarge the picture. From there, all this came out. I don't know what the truth is, but I have no idea what's in that picture.
A Catholic priest also taped an unusual object.
I came out to take a video of that pine tree against the light. When I came up, I saw the light appear over the mountain over there. It was not an ordinary light. It was blue and very intense.
UFO debates are common on Mexico television.
No one knows what they are. Visitors from another planet? That's crazy. They fly like nothing we've seen before. Who could make something like this?
One explanation, the objects are military aircraft. But detailed analysis seems to disprove that.
They demonstrate a field propulsion and technology that's far beyond anything that I'm aware of that we have today. Most scientists look at these things as not that these are phenomena that violate known physical laws, it's just that they're phenomena that our known laws cannot explain right now.
Next on Unexplained Mysteries, an unknown entity tails a cosmonaut spacecraft.
We photographed it, and our photo showed it to be 23 to 28 meters away.
A space shuttle astronaut claims to see something in outer space that's alive.
I have seen a snake out there, 6, 7, 8 feet long. It is rubbery because it has internal waves in it.
Witnesses in South Korea and Mexico report an unusual cluster UFO.
One might come to the just natural conclusion that they originate from distant worlds.
The Rawa Primary School incident will show you what happened to 62 school children.
I got scared because I've never seen such a person like that before.
They experience very powerful encounters with these beings.
And we'll wrap it all up for you with the UnEx report. It's coming up here on Unexplained Mysteries, Destination Earth. Unexplained Mysteries, Destination Earth. Some of the most compelling encounters have taken place in space. The Russian space program has reported a number of them.
I think that we are not alone in the universe. I believe that someone or something from an extraterrestrial origin has visited Earth.
Soyuz 30 lifted off on its mission to the Salyut 6 space station. But for 8 hours along the way, something strange pursued the Russian vessel.
It followed us during half of our orbit. We observed it on the light side, and when we entered the dark side, it disappeared completely. The object stayed very close to us. We photographed it, and our photo showed it to be 23 to 28 meters away.
Afanasyev informed Mission Control of the strange object. He thought his information would be made public when he returned, but his superiors ordered him to remain silent and seized all evidence of the incident, transcripts, photos, and film. He could not speak openly about his experience until the Soviet Union collapsed.
It is still classified as a UFO because we have yet to classify the object.
American astronauts have also had sightings of unidentified objects in space.
Spaceflight itself broadens your horizons to the point which you kind of open up to possibilities.
A veteran of 5 shuttle missions, Story Musgrave saw something peculiar.
On 2 of my missions, and I still don't have an answer, I have seen a snake out there, 6, 7, 8 feet long. It is rubbery because it has internal waves in it, and it follows you for a rather long period of time. The more you fly in space, the more you see an incredible amount of things out there, and that sort of brings to you really a certainty that other living creatures are out there. Some incredibly primitive, more primitive, some just proteins coming together, amino acids, and some just single cellular organisms, and other civilizations that have been around for a million years that are doing unimaginable kinds of things.
But some NASA scientists don't think these encounters prove the existence of alien life.
A lot of things we see on the pictures from space are things we're used to seeing here in the control center down here in Houston. They're ordinary events that surround the spaceship. Pieces coming off, water dumps, pieces of ice, insulation. They're just little pieces 10, maybe 20 feet away from the camera.
Despite what Musgrave has seen, he doesn't believe there is a cover-up. South Korea, one of the most unusual sightings ever. It begins as one object then breaks up into many smaller ones.
Right now, each ball seems to be about 100 feet in diameter and 10,000 feet in the air, moving at 700, 800, 900 miles an hour.
Ufologists refer to this as a cluster UFO or pearl necklace.
We think it's probably not a weather balloon that's become untethered. We think it is probably not a military project.
Rigorous video analysis produced surprising results.
There are 7 primary objects, 12 subordinate objects, and clusters of what looks like clouds of smaller objects, and there could be dozens of those. Point is, very unusual. And because of its high speed, we think it's something not normal.
There's at least a conceivable possibility that the original object was actually composed of a cluster of smaller objects that were interconnected until their separation.
Froning is an expert on propulsion systems.
This is indeed is what these might be. Each of these little vehicles within the overall group have their own individual power, propulsion, guidance, and control.
And none of the vehicles exhibited characteristics of any known technology.
I believe these kinds of objects may be utilizing a whole new mode of propulsion which we have not developed yet, which is called field propulsion. Since vehicles like this are not known to have been developed any place here on this world, one might come to the just natural conclusion that they originate and can come here from distant worlds. Now what the objects are doing is just about as mysterious as what they are.
Are these balls the boundaries of some space that they're doing something to or with? This may not be an example of modes of transportation. This may be an example of work being done.
Cluster UFOs have been observed before.
In October of 1992, we saw our first cluster of ships in the air that looked similar to these, almost identical to these.
And during the famous mass sightings in Mexico City.
They also appeared during major earthquakes. These unknowns appear to be messengers of destiny in many, many situations.
Some experts believe their message is getting urgent.
If Earth is being visited by people from other places, from other worlds, from other dimensions, they're speeding up the process right now. Something major has happened.
Next on Unexplained Mysteries, did school children in Africa experience one of the largest mass sightings of all time?
They had eyes like that, and they were kind of just like looking at us. I never said anything. It's just that the face is the eyes. They looked horrible.
And we'll find it all up in our UnEx report, here on Unexplained Mysteries. Unexplained Mysteries, Destination Earth. Something major has also happened in Africa. A unique mass encounter between aliens and school children. One night, thousands of people in Africa saw a meteor. 2 days later, something allegedly touched down outside Ruwa, Zimbabwe.
This object landed with the 3 or 4 things beside it, and then a door opened, and this little man got out and had on a black suit.
At the Ariel Primary School, 62 children came into contact with what they say were alien creatures.
They were very slim, the suit was black, but it was the eyes that was frightening.
A large number of children, all with the same apparent story.
Why would 62 children lie?
Celebrated Harvard professor John Mack interviewed the young eyewitnesses.
It was silver, and the ring around it was red.
Was red. Did light come from the whole thing, or?
There are lights around here.
Lights along the edge there. How many of the strange beings did you see?
I saw one over here. They had eyes like that, and they were kind of just like looking at us. They were like kind of astonished at what we were. I felt scared.
It felt scared? What was scary about it?
Oh, I felt scared because I've never seen such a person like that before.
They experienced very powerful encounters with these beings and were left with the rather disturbing fact that this seems to be what it is, and it seems to have no other psychiatric explanation.
Mack feels the children did not experience a mass delusion, but they believe the aliens had an ominous message.
Fungi, what do you imagine is his reason for visiting Earth?
I think it's about something that's going to happen.
Something that's going to happen?
Yes. What I thought was maybe the world's going to end. Maybe they're telling us the world's going to end. I think they want people to know that we're actually making harm on this world and we mustn't get too technologized.
How did that get communicated to you?
I don't really know, but it just popped up in my head.
Pollution.
He never said anything. It's just that the eyes, they looked horrible.
And the eyes, the horrible look, had that information that you just told me?
Yes.
In Africa, media exposure to aliens or UFOs is limited.
Now, the people in Africa don't have television. They might have a radio, but I can tell you the media don't deal with UFOs there. But nervous of it. So where would they pick it up? Is it a mass telepathy?
The children maintain a belief in what they saw and felt.
If someone were to say, well, you know, you just have a lively imagination and you made this up, what would you say?
I haven't been influenced by any of my friends. I have seen what I've seen.
Coming up on Unexplained Mysteries, we'll wrap it up with the UnEx report. The unidentified explosion deep inside Russia. The mass sighting in Montreal. The strange metals recovered from a UFO crash site. Thousands of eyewitnesses in Mexico City. The alleged space sightings made by cosmonauts and astronauts. And the meaning of the pearl necklace. All this when Unexplained Mysteries returns. And now, the UnEx report. Have UFOs made contact with Earth? Witnesses report sightings all around the world.
It is possible that this could be a ship from another planet.
The massive explosion in Siberia.
The force of the explosion was so strong, it knocked both the man and the horse to the ground 15 miles away.
It was classified as a meteor, but some experts assert it was a crash of an alien spacecraft.
There was mutation. All objects in the epicenter were exposed to a small dose of X-ray radiation.
In Montreal, hundreds of eyewitnesses were stunned when they shared a mass sighting.
So I stepped outside, I looked at the lights, and I was kind of scared because I didn't know what it was.
It was something quite extraordinary. They had the feeling that it was not from here, that it was different.
They all pretty much saw the same thing. It says it is not hallucination.
In Russia, strange objects were seen near the Vladivostok military base.
It is a place where UFOs are sighted very frequently.
And more eyewitnesses alleged they saw an object crash on the mysterious hill known as Height 611.
The sphere was red. It was flying straight, then sharply fell down.
I saw a fiery balloon fly from this side and fall there on this knoll.
Scientists have made surprising discoveries when they tested human subjects on Height 611.
Samples of blood pressure, and pulse were taken. The differential blood count was altered, and the amount of elements in the blood rose.
The amazing events in Mexico City, where thousands of people say they saw strange craft in the sky.
It sounds crazy, but in a city of almost 20 million people, practically every afternoon you can see a UFO.
Including a sighting by a priest.
I was shooting that pine tree against the light. When I looked up, I saw the light appear over the mountain, over there.
There are also some diamond-shaped forms, red in color, that are suspended over the mountain.
Compelling evidence of UFO encounters are reported by those who have traveled into space.
It followed us during half of our orbit, made from some type of metal, approximately 40 meters long, with inner holes.
On 2 of my missions, I have seen a snake out there, 6, 7, 8 feet long.
Witnesses on opposite sides of the Earth claim they've seen rare cluster UFOs.
Right now, each ball seems to be about 100 feet in diameter and 10,000 feet in the air, moving at 700, 800, 900 miles an hour.
The original object was actually composed of a cluster of smaller objects. They originate and come here from distant worlds.
The African children who state they had a mass encounter with extraterrestrials.
Why would 62 children lie?
They had eyes like that, and they were kind of just like looking at us.
And they may have had a warning for us.
Maybe the world's gonna end.
More recently, there's been a sudden increase in UFO reports from Wisconsin. In Oshkosh, during a lunar eclipse, 2 astronomers saw 3 red shapes fly across the sky. At Anvil Lake, an eyewitness saw 2 flashing white lights descend to the ground a few feet from his cottage. In Wyomega, a source that wishes to remain anonymous claims that he was taking pictures while his son was playing outside. The boy pointed to the sky at an object with strange lights. At first, the witness thought it was a balloon, until he realized it had a disc shape. Its lights seemed to change colors in sequence. The disc hovered for a while, then slowly moved off. His son grew upset and wanted to know what it was, but the man could only call it an unidentified flying object. Earth. Is it a destination for alien visitors? A stop on the extraterrestrial tour bus? People claim they've seen the evidence right before their eyes. But for now, the final answers to these questions must remain an unexplained mystery.
I have seen what I've seen.
On Crime Stories.
We didn't know what happened to the family.
More and more media began to show up. People were not only shocked, they were afraid, mostly because this was Yosemite National Park where bad things just don't happen.
This was just the tip of the iceberg.
Crime Stories, tomorrow at 8, only on Bio.